my mother-in-law's a lot. So. And I'm on your street a lot. You know, I'm stalking you. You know? I'm stalking you. This is the.
There is no distance, always.
Got there Wednesday night, snowed Wednesday to Thursday. It's melted by Friday. Beautiful day, 75 degrees.
Shouldn't this be over here?
Monday it was
Oh, I gotta ask her what's going on.
I know, I was like, oh, my water bill.
My grandson has a football game. They're supposed to be 6 inches.
And that was the last
Good luck, GJ.
So, did you see the thing Sunday in the news with the guy that had chased from Wood County?
I read the headline.
And then he was
Where did he jump in at?
right at Farnsworth, and he went out to the island, and so they had to get the boats to go get him.
He'd come later.
Napoleon out there, fan boats, and
I liked going out there. It gave us a good perspective because you can look at maps and you don't really understand what it is.
you need to go to jail now. Sadly.
Oh,
You know, it's always something. I'm serious. Good Lord. I thought we were in soccer fields on the trail.
I bet.
going to 14.
I guess that,
Discussion.
His team died, so they can't celebrate that as a nonprofit.
no, I
Oh,
love
I didn't know
So
that.
now donations, he's taking donations.
You're in,
He's starting a Republican as a nonprofit organization, which is what 90%
I live there. I get
things are.
Yeah,
They're either school-related or
everything varies. Work.
so he's trying to get his money back, get him enough money to put lights in and all that, but it's under a nonprofit.
All right, I did not know that.
Somebody advised him
Industrial
to do
park
that.
and house.
Lawyer, but I don't know who's behind Winter. Juno.
I do not.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Mr. Pedro, would you like to say the prayer this evening?
Yes. Loving God, as we come together tonight for the city of Waterville, we pause to ask you to be with us and guide our way. May your spirit of peace surround all we say and do this evening. We ask for your strength to do what is best for the good of Waterville. Lord God, as servants of your people, we pray that you grant us a share of your wisdom. Amen.
Please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Here?
Here.
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 Thank you. Next, we have approval of our regular council meeting of the minutes, October 14th, 2019. Need a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Are there any changes, comments, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll need to abstain since I wasn't here.
Next, we have citizens' comments. Do I have any this evening? Yes. You won't mind coming to the podium and then state your name and address for us?
Michael Hampton III.
Michael Hampton.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
like the Hotel Hampton. Almost, folks.
And your address?
420 Sycamore Lane. Thank you. Good evening. And I wrote this down because if not, I like to talk a lot, so
That's
I'll
all right.
save you guys here.
Perfect.
I'm Michael Hampton III, a resident of the city. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Before I get started, I want to be clear. I'm not going to confront the items tonight based on any political advantage, nor damage any one person's credibility. Everything I speak on tonight is based on facts that I've gathered throughout my own research, education, attending public safety committee meetings, and asking questions. First and foremost, I want to thank the men and women who serve and protect our great city. I personally want them to know that their work, dedication, and commitment to our city does not go unnoticed by all of us. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, and administration, we are all well aware that life safety is a priority for the men and women serving and protecting our great city. And if you all agree with this, then I ask the question, why has purchasing the turnout gear been neglected? According to Barb Bruno, and I quote, "It's not true regarding the expired turnout gear." Well, I'm here to inform you, it is true. And your quote is nothing more than fake news. I've witnessed my own eyes that our firefighters expired turnout gear. This has been recorded in public safety meetings and addressed more than once for almost a year. This is nothing short of being negligent. And this matter has the city held accountable and some of you on the board held civilly liable. Let me ask you, will you be the one knocking on their loved one's door to let them know that their husband, wife, was seriously injured and or killed because their turnout gear failed them? You have the education on the requirements for the PPE. NFPA 1851, which specifies that firefighter protective assemble must be retired from service no more than 10 years from the date the assemble or assemble component was manufactured. You know that the fibers wear down whether they are exposed to extreme temperatures or sitting stagnant for months. This is not a matter or a topic to table and discuss for months on end. This is a matter of life safety, and life safety should be top priority. This should not be a matter of capital risk. As we are well aware, there are funds available in the budget. Additionally, what about the revenue that was appropriated for the past year and a half that was approved in the budget for the fire chief's position and the full-time firefighter paramedic position? Where is that money now? Can anybody answer that question? Understanding this is probably not well communicated with the past administration. However, since Chief Meyer has taken over as interim chief, I have heard from the meetings that in the first quarter of the year, there was a need to purchase the turnout gear. According to Mrs. Bruno, you also quoted that there was a miscommunication between the outgoing fire chief in 2018 and the interim fire chief, which led to the equipment not being purchased. Again, that is a false statement, which is extremely bothersome on many levels. Simply put, we cannot change the past. What we can do as a city is unite and make sure that these mistakes do not repeat themselves. Our city council and administration must stay active in building relationships with our men and women who work for our city, ask questions, prioritize quarterly meetings to assure the budget is being spent correctly. This is not a matter of micromanagement. This is a matter of checks and balances and to make sure that not one just person takes the burden of these mistakes. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, and administration, it's time to step up to the plate, own some of the responsibility, and put a motion on the table to make an emergency purchase to ensure our men and women are equipped with the minimum standards. After all, they are risking their lives and their families' well-being for our great city. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hampton, for coming tonight. And I was fortunate to speak with him this weekend for a short time. He was busy, so I tried not to take a lot of his time. But anytime anybody, especially moving into town, and even if you didn't live in town, we appreciate any feedback that you give us. You summed up a lot of it. Quite a bit went on since the end of 2018, especially in the fire department. And when we started to look back at how much money had been set aside, and we didn't go all the way back to 2002, that's how long I had been around. But I did remember that every year there was money in the budget, almost every year for turnout gear. But I had them go back to 2009, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 17, and there was money in each year. Not making excuses for anybody that didn't spend their budget correctly, because we do empower our chiefs to do their jobs, because if you don't, chiefs don't enjoy that either. So there's a fine balance. Sure. But what we did in the meantime when we found out We looked at the Bureau of Workers' Comp, the new regulations that came into play, you know, expirations, talked to fire people. Everybody's dealing with it. My day job, I go to 15 counties. I call on fire districts, cities and villages. They're struggling because a lot of people aren't as fortunate as us in Waterville. They're trying to find the money to get that gear replaced as soon as they can, now that there's a standard. We also check with our labor attorney, and we have some background on that legal side of it as well. So we did a lot of checking. We are very lucky. We got a grant. We used that money to purchase. We rearranged the budget. Interim chief took over in December. With that transition, he had not put that budget together last year. The previous chief had. We also moved some stuff around, and we're down to, I know this is too much detail, 12 coats and pants, 8 helmets and pairs of boots, and 2 pairs of gloves. So we did a really nice job on about 30 sets, and they're not, if you're not a fireman, they're pretty expensive. So I find that important as the ambulance getting where it needs to go. So there's been a lot of talk about the fire department this past year. It's a very high priority. So what we're doing tonight, it's in the budget for next year, but when you order them, it takes a little time. So we actually have some legislation tonight that we're doing that, so it's kind of timely that he was coming. And then I don't know if you touched on trying to hire somebody. When you become a city as opposed to a township, if you're a firefighter or a small village, you don't have civil service. Once you're a city, you get civil service and collective bargaining. And we have to give a test. It's a law, and so people have to pass it. The previous chief tried to hire somebody. We had it in the budget last year. He was unable to find a candidate. We got about 3 to 4 applicants. They were unable to pass what they had to pass. We just did it again, and we tried to do it as quick as we could, but interim chief, it took him a while to get rolling this year, so we were saying, time to get it done. So our new administrator as well, he got into it and got it done. Again, we didn't get anybody out of that. Unemployment's low. Across the nation, they're having trouble getting volunteers, which is why we pay part-timers. Our budget has increased significantly in 3 years by hundreds of thousands to pay part-timers because, unfortunately, I think the public knows this because we've been talking about a fire district. There are not a lot of volunteers out there. The old-fashioned volunteers, when I got to town in 1998, there were about 30 of them. A lot of people retired. Nobody's attracting numbers. It's not a Waterville problem. Just met with White House today. They have the same issue. So on the gear, we're taking care of that. And on the hiring, we're going to go back out and try to do some modifications and see who we can find. But those are our goals to fill those. In the meantime, we have coverage. We have mutual aid. We have the county ambulance from White House. And we have part-timers. So we're going to keep going. So anyone in the fire area that knows people, we surely would appreciate them telling them about Waterville. And I don't know if council has a lot to add, and if I addressed everything, but if not.
Well, I do, Michael, I do want to just comment. We did meet formally at the gym. And so while you quote me, I think it was taken out of context.
That was, that was according to the article that was published. That's where I took the direct quotes.
Where was that, in the Mirror?
Yes.
Okay, I guess I didn't read that, but I don't recall saying that the turnout gear wasn't expired. Okay. And the second point was that there was a miscommunication between the outgoing chief and the incoming chief about the turnout gear. Yeah, I'll have to read that.
Yeah, that was according to the article, so,
Okay. All right, I'll have to read that closely. Because, yeah, I don't remember, that would be misrepresented, and I don't recall saying those things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Mr. Pedro?
Mike, thanks. Mike, right?
yes, correct.
Thank you
Yep,
for your
thanks.
comments. And I think that my takeaway was we cannot change the past. We're moving forward.
Yes.
I think we got progress, and we're going to make the best of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much
Appreciate it.
for
Thank you.
coming tonight.
Thank you.
Do I have any other citizens' comments this evening?
Mayor, I don't know if we have students here or not. I'm just trying
Oh,
to,
I might see one in the back row there.
you got to come up to the microphone.
All right. Sorry, Mr. Pedro, I'd like you to come up and state your name and what school you go to.
Otherwise, your teacher won't know
Yeah.
you were here.
They'll know that you were here.
Hi, I'm Chloe, and I go to Notre Dame Academy.
Thank you.
And you're here studying. Okay.
Thank you very much, Chloe. Any other comments? All right, next we'll go to staff reports. First, we have our administrator, Mr. Gokenhour.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. At the last council meeting, we had some residents that came in that were discussing or concerned about the causeway construction with the new Waterville Bridge, and I did have a chance to speak with the ODOT project engineer, and he explained that the causeway construction has been, it was a redesign that was requested by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Ohio EPA. And the design and installation that ODOT did for the new causeway was approved by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Ohio EPA. So they designed it to be overtopped once the water in the river reaches a certain level. So they actually did a separate engineering study on that, and to make sure that the flood elevation, if it achieved a certain height, it would overtop the causeway and go down the river. So as far as I know, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has the final say on things in the river, being built in the river, obstructions to the flow of water there. So, and then the lighting on the bridge, there are lights on the bridge that are in the plan, and probably we're just gonna have to wait till they're up, and then I guess if we see any complaints in that regard, maybe we can address it there. But ODOT seems willing to work with us on lighting issues on the bridge. Now, on our side of the bridge at the intersection, that's in the city, that's our lamps. We purchased those, we maintain those, so we can dictate, how we want those to be or look or what have you. So that's the report there that I wanted to mention.
Thank you. And I think it was the brightness compared to the roundabout.
I think they would like
Not
to make sure it's shaded down and not just out.
right.
I think that was the big concern, is the way the lights are on the other side of the bridge, there's no shading to keep the light to go down. It's just out and everywhere, and the request was to have shading so that the lights point on the road and not
Into their bedroom.
And they're aware of it.
Everywhere.
I also talked to the director, and then they had the engineer call back, and he spoke with Mr. Gokenhour. And he said, the good news is they're aware, and they're gonna keep an eye on it, and he will work on the lighting if we need it, so. Let the residents know, and I'll try to contact the gentleman who was here last week, one of your neighbors down there. Anything else for the administrator?
Richard Hagee was worried about the
Yeah.
lighting.
I've got his number.
Merle Wilhelm was worried about
Right,
keeping the water moving down the river. So if we could get back to them, I would appreciate it.
okay.
Concludes my report here.
Any questions for the administrator?
Those were mine. Thank you.
Our law director, Mr. Dombey.
No report tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Finance director?
I'm gonna just talk briefly. We've got the October finance report. We're looking at about a 4% increase ballpark over the last year, a little bit over $100,000 for one building. So that's good. And when you look at the container fee, we usually get a refund on that, so I think that's going to be significantly non-effective to bank. Other than that, I've been working on the capital budget and the operating budget, and we had finance committee meeting the other day, and that went well, and we're
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Finance director?
Looks good.
Thank you. Next, we have our treasurer, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. I'll have a very brief report tonight. As you can see, we have August closed. And through August of 2019, from an all funds perspective, we're at the highest number we've been in the last 2 years. Same thing with the general fund and same thing with the water and sewer funds. So good trend and doing very well in those regards. Capital fund is down just a little. We've been paying off some bills, some paving bills recently. And as I know most of you know, typically, and if you look at the prior year, we build through July, and then we start going down as we start paying for a lot of projects that we work on in the summer and the fall. So anyway, trend is holding very nicely. So that's the end of my report.
Any questions? Thank you. Next, we'll have communications from council. Start with Mrs. Duncan.
I think we had a successful Boo-to-Do and Spooktacular. It was well received. I was really happy we closed Farnsworth. I know it was a little inconvenient for some of the drivers, but it was much safer for the children. I heard a lot of great things about it when I was down there, and that's really all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Pedro?
Just to echo that, I thought the group that put it on, they should be commended, and it's nice to have visitors downtown, especially little kids. I even was a little kid that night myself. So thanks to the folks that put that on. And then secondly, just a reminder, on November the 14th, the Waterville Economic Development Corporation is having their annual meeting at the Browning Complex, open to the citizens, obviously to council. And exciting news that, well, I think it's exciting, but our speaker is going to be Thomas Winston, who's the new president of the Toledo-Lucas County Port Authority. And they're one of the bodies in this region that helps assist businesses and help them grow, help new ones locate in the area, along with Jobs Ohio and RGP. So Thomas Winston will be our guest speaker, November the 14th, Browning Complex, 4 o'clock, 4 to 6. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Rosick?
No report, Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Fry?
No report this evening.
Can I ask, is there any new cemetery update? Just thinking about that. And you just had a meeting, I think.
We did, and we're working on actually putting I know one of the things that we talked about is the clerk treasurer position for the Union District. We're working on putting that job description together and hopefully putting a posting out to see what kind of candidates that we can get. And we'll have to make a change to our 2020 budget, but our hope is to get something at first of the year, have somebody in place for that. I'm actually happy to report that we've got all of the property now in the district's name. We had one little hiccup that we just got resolved, so all the cemeteries are now in the name of the Union Cemetery District, and we are in the process of reviewing rules and regulations, and we'll probably be presenting that to the joint meeting in May, or if not, a special meeting prior to that. So things are progressing.
Good. Mrs. Bruno?
Okay, quick update. Anthony and I serve on the Parks and Recreation Committee, and we met out at Choctaw Drive with members of the committee just to kind of start scoping out locations for pickleball courts. So we passed out a handout that one of the members brought forward. This is from 2009. It's a blueprint, I guess at that time, going back to soccer ball, courts being looked for. They looked at this property out on Choctaw Drive. And so this will just give you a visual of what could be if we took a portion of that land that the city owns and maybe, in addition to doing some economic development out there, also blend in some recreational districts. Pickleball, as you know, as we've talked about, tends to be a loud sport. And these people take it really serious. And so we've looked at Prairie Park as a potential site, but we thought that, well, it could be a noise issue there. So we were kind of looking at something a little more off the beaten track, if you will. And that's why this came up. So this is just preliminary, just to start thinking about where would be a good location for pickleball courts. The committee gets together back in December, and at that time, then we'll propose what we would like to see in way of a budget for council to consideration for 2020 going forward. Now, there has to be 6 courts. These players are very serious, and they have tournaments, and they bring in like over 200 people into a community. So it's very beneficial to host these tournaments in your community. I know Rossford hosts one, and I believe, who is the other?
Holland.
And so I think it would be beneficial for water. And then, of course, I know the mayor, she gave us some names of organizations that have grant and funding available for this as well, which we'll be looking into and bringing it forward as well. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Bruno, you
To
think?
kind of go off what Barb just said, I think this would be a good location just because we're taking noise into consideration. Prairie Trail seemed like it would be a good location just because where it's located near new houses coming up, but Choctaw Drive would probably make more sense and would be a lot more cost-effective. Just because of the fact if we were going to do them in Prairie Trail, we thought about doing like a sunken style pickleball court, and to do them at Choctaw would save a lot of money. So that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry about that. Moving on to old business, we have ordinance 08-19, which is tabled until December 9th. So can we change it on there, or is that in the record? We did remind everybody, but if we could still spread the word, it's an ordinance amending the municipal zoning map of the city of Waterville to change the zoning classification of a certain 43-acre parcel of land, part of parcel number 9625959 and parcel number 9625961, located at 6730 and 6824 Anthony Wayne Trail from A1 Agricultural to M1 Industrial District. We've had the first, second, third reading and public hearing, but we have tabled that for the December 9th meeting. Any comments tonight on that? If not, we'll go on to new business. Ordinance 17-19 is an ordinance amending ordinance 16-19, the amended fiscal year 2019 annual appropriation ordinance and declaring an emergency. And Mr. Gokenauer, would you like to give us an update on the changes?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
This is the fourth budget amendment of the year, and I included the listing of items in the report. Lucas County has completed a $12 million anaerobic digester improvement project, which sounds fascinating, but what they're doing is they're capturing the methane from the sewer plant and they're converting it into energy. So originally, they provided us with an estimate of our share. We have to pay a percentage of all the improvements at the Lucas County wastewater treatment plant. The original estimate was low. It was around $30,000, and the final number is $73,318. So that is going to be incorporated into future debt service for the city. The next item is involving our 2012 bond issue. Originally this year, we were scheduled just to pay interest. We received a revised invoice from our bond holder and stating that we had some principal due as well. Originally, what we did is we budgeted 2 principal payments next year because it appeared in the schedule that we were skipping a principal payment this year and we'd pay $285,000 in 2020. But what actually it is $140,000 in 2019 and $145,000 in 2020. So we want to put that in the budget, and we are checking with our bond holder to make sure the debt schedule is correct, and if it isn't, we'll just, we won't pay that. The next issue is what the mayor alluded to. In the 2020 capital plan of the fire department, there's the remaining turnout gear, and what we can do is we can pre-fund that. So what that means is we'll encumber the expense in 2019 of $33,000, and we'll carry that over into 2020, and we will pay that when the turnout gear comes in. And it's, according to the fire chief, it takes about 4 months to get that from ordering it, sizing people, and then when it's actually delivered. And then lastly, we have to spend a little more money for water meters due to home construction in the city of about $7,800.
Thank you. Any questions on the changes to the budget?
Are those the new water meters, John?
Yeah. They're,
New houses.
yeah.
And that, the turnout gear then will not be on the budget for next year, or will still?
It will be.
Well, I guess technically it will because we'll pay for it in the beginning of next year when the gear comes in.
Okay, so That item will appear, but we're gonna approve it this year.
Yeah, we're gonna encumber it, and, legally, we have to show it as an expense, and we'll carry it over. Now, if we have to pay for it before the end of the year, then we have the money to do that.
Other questions? All right, seeing none, this is a emergency. I'll move that the rules be suspended to allow for the passage of ordinance number 17-19 as an emergency measure, and I need a second.
Second.
Roll call, please. Mr. Fry?
Yes.
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 Now I'm moving for final passage of ordinance number 17-19, first and final reading as an emergency measure.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Next, we have Resolution 32-19, a resolution appointing Donald Atkinson of the Village of White House to represent the municipalities of Lucas County for the convening of the 911 Planning Committee. Mr. Gokenhour, do you have any additional info, or?
I don't have anything else.
It was pretty straightforward on your resolution. Does anybody have any questions? We discussed it at the last meeting. All right. All right, seeing none, we need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have Resolution 33-19, a resolution designating the services of the City of Waterville will provide to the territory proposed for annexation by the petition filed October 16th, 2019 with the Lucas County Commissioners. And Mr. Gokenhour, would you like to give the background on that one?
This is a regular annexation, and at the beginning of the annexation process, the city has to pass a resolution designating the municipal services that we will provide to the area. Once it's passed, it'll go to the Lucas County Commissioners. It's about 11 acres, and it's on the west side of the Anthony Wayne Trail, just north of Canal Road.
All right, any questions?
We just annexed the little.
1.66 acres before,
Yeah.
now it's the rest of the parcel.
It's the same, but same owner, right?
Same owner, yep. They're going to split it, and they need service to both residences.
Other
Great.
questions? All right, we need a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have any other information or unscheduled business? Any comments? All right, we just need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
We had an over-under on
Oh, if you have
We killed it.
plotted
That's all.
Help me, I'm driving it.
drive here, one splits off that way and one goes to this way, they have the appropriate frontage, there's a shared drive here.
No, I
Oh, wait, let me tell you something.
In there, where it says that the turnout gear isn't expired.
We've been trying to get this straightened out, honestly, for a while, and I just hope, like, it gets ordered and gets in there, and, you know me, I've been pushing that for a while.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Thanks.
As a volunteer.
Remember when he came in?
Anyways,
yeah,
let me know if you have somebody that you prefer. I know, well, you need to.
Absolutely. Need a signature, yeah.